Hi, this is Conrad Zimmerman with FistShark Marketing, here to remind you that you are going to die. One day, sooner than you may think, you are going to die and all of your worldly worth will be left behind. So why not leave some with us? Visit patreon.com/FistShark or click the big Patreon button at FistShark.com and help us out with a small monthly contribution. And thanks for listening. Now, I know we're all feeling a little bit down about all of this, and, I thought it was going to be a success. I really did. This seemed to me like we had a great idea in the making here.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'm frankly embarrassed to talk about it, just because obviously, you know I put a lot of heart and soul into this.
Oh, we all did. Everybody did.
Oh yeah, I don't want to imply that other people cared less than me. But I staked my reputation on this. I told the press. I made the big bold claims. I predicted this would be the holiday movie of the year. That this would be it. Obviously with Star Wars coming out, we wanted to match it. We wanted to more than match it. That's why we called our film better than Star Wars. But I'm going to have to admit, and it's painful to admit, that when I sat there at the premiere showing, what I saw was not better than Star Wars. In fact, I would go as far as to say that it was markedly worse.
Well, you can't just go by audience reaction. I think the fact that the ads had the word better than very small, the type was very, very little. So some of them, I think, were expecting Star Wars, and they didn't get that.
Yeah. I mean, of the 8 people that showed up to the premiere, and I think that was a big mistake as well, was the fact that we made 3 posters directly outside the venue. And it did kind of attract, a demographic that I could only describe as the sans home demographic.
Members of the vagrant community, you could say.
It was the kind of people who were near a disused church at 1 a.m. on a Sunday morning. Probably not the best time in hindsight, which is of course 2020, for a movie premiere. That didn't help. I'm not saying that there weren't external factors that led to the premiere of Better Than Star Wars not going down as well as we'd hoped.
Well, nothing seemed to go down as well as we had hoped.
Yes, that is the main thing I want to get to here, is because I don't want to feel like, only 8 people showing up, we were in a disused church, it was 1 a.m. These all feel like excuses when I do want to take full responsibility for the film itself, which I feel strayed away from our original vision a lot.
Oh, absolutely it's strayed. The ideas, the concepts that we put forth in that initial planning meeting, I firmly believe were better than Star Wars.
Yeah. I think the main problem was we forgot everything we said in that meeting.
Didn't we used to have somebody here who took notes of the meetings? Her name was Carolyn or Christine.
Kylie?
Whatever.
Something like that. What upsets me is all these calls are recorded for training and review purposes, and we never thought to listen back to any of the tapes. I don't even know where the tapes go when we're done with them, but I'm sure I could have found someone in records or archives and got them so that we could remember our ideas. We were very excited for Better Than Star Wars as a movie concept at the time. So I'm disappointed that when it came time to write the script, we kind of spent the first 2 weeks just staring at a blank piece of paper, occasionally drinking and screaming at each other. For which I'm sorry. I apologize. I threw the glass at you.
No, I never should have pulled that knife on you. I was totally out of line.
Yeah, well, we're temperamental artists.
I was just more confused by the process. Being new to the project, I trust and still trust in your vision, but I'm not sure, like, if the next time I see you literally inhaling mashed potatoes and then coughing them up in sort of a mucusy, salty, phlegmy, snot/potatoes mix on the camera, and screaming at the director, you fucking testicle shit, my balls are the picture, this ball is the picture my ball. Am I supposed to, do you want me to, criticism's too strong of a word, but do you want me to at least, like, point out to you that I'm a little concerned?
I'd appreciate that in future. Looking back, I'm not proud of any of that. I believe my thought process at the time was that if I were to huff mashed potato and then cough it out, the mess on the floor would look like words, and then we'd have a script. And then I got very angry at the director when we didn't. And the director was insisting that we start filming, and I'm like, we don't have a script. Which, incidentally, is why, a third of the final cut of the movie is just us recreating A New Hope, with us playing all of the characters. By the way, you did a very good Darth Vader, Paul.
Oh, thanks. It was fun.
Do you mind, actually, if I call you Paul?
I mean, if you want to.
Yeah, it gets confusing. I know a Paulson and he's a Darth Vader impersonator, so it makes it very confusing. But I will say that you did it well, considering we didn't have a script and were just going off of what we remembered from A New Hope from rote memory. I don't know if the I'm Your Father scene was in A New Hope, but you pulled it off with what do they say in theatre? Gravitas.
Oh, thanks.
You had a lot of gravitas. I mean, you were the highlight of the film. The special effects were perhaps the worst part, if I'm honest.
Well, that was really unfortunate. I was under the impression that we were going to have a lot more money in the budget for special effects.
Yeah,
and it turns out that we blew almost all of our cash just in the writing process.
Yeah, well, Bourbon is more expensive than I thought it was in that quantity. I thought I'd get a discount if I bought that much. Instead, what happened was literally I just bought that much Bourbon.
It's another retrospect question that's probably too late, but is making photocopies of your ass and flapping the photocopies in the air and going woo and pretending that they're spaceships, is that, I mean, has that been done? Has that ever worked? They are black and white, like a spaceship might be, but other than that, it was just a little bit of testicle and your ass cheeks in the air.
I think what the problem was we didn't green screen us out. We were wearing green suits, and we had a green screen behind us, but we didn't do the bit they do in films where they get rid of that and put space in there. We didn't have outer space there. It was just two men in very tight green spandex holding up pieces of paper and making pew-pew noises, which, I've gone back and I've watched the original Star Wars films. They don't look like what we did.
No. The closest anything that we shot comes to looking like actual Star Wars were the Tatooine scenes. And even there, like, we really should have found a bigger sandbox to do all of that in, going down to the neighborhood park and the kids around. Then we had that one kid charged just $14,000 for the shoot. Yeah. And it's just not at all how I imagined this going down. Like, at all.
No, it wasn't good. I think if I were to go back and make changes, I would have made the film less racist. I don't think the long racist diatribes that we drunkenly went on helped. I would have hired actors, which was, I do recall from our initial planning for this film, we were going to use actors.
And then
at some point, yeah, we forgot to hire them, and that's why we ended up doing it all ourselves.
Oh, yeah. It wasn't so much that I forgot, it's just that actors and auditions and that whole process, it's so tedious.
Yeah, and I couldn't be bothered at one point. I just thought about hiring actors. It just seemed like too much effort. I mean, that explains the props as well. It's why when we had the droids, we wanted robots on screen. We just kind of had some eggs and kind of rolled them in front of the camera going, whoop, 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 whoop.
The eggs, they look good on the poster, and they kind of hint at the testicles that you'll see later in the spaceships. That's one good point. Another highlight, I think, that worked really well was kind of getting the fire department to be in the film. That would have cost a lot of money if we were to actually hire them, but by getting by simulating the lightsabers, by just lighting sticks on fire and smashing whatever was around,
mostly Craig,
and then getting the fire department, whoever called them, to hose us down. It wasn't a special effect, but it was an effect. It was very believable. It was practical.
Oh, I mean, you could really believe that those firemen were putting out a fire. Because that literally is what happened, and it was also the only authentic thing in the film. I mean, it bore no plot relevance, but it looked exciting. And of the 3 people who stuck around for the premiere showing, one of them was awake enough to appreciate that looked okay.
It's a success, in a way. And I feel we can build on it with hotter marketing. Maybe for new posters, a fireman hosing down ass and ball spaceship, and an egg droid saying, "It's a movie." That could be good.
It needs to be hotter. We need to get these firemen to some like gold bikinis. That would be a good look.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we all need to wear gold bikinis. Just to really, get attention. If there's a movie poster and there's nothing but gold bikinis on there, people get aroused by that.
I'm getting a little aroused by it right now.
I'm just thinking about that gold bikini, and I'm thinking, I want to have sex with that bikini. I want to take that bikini home.
But not to meet your mama, am I right?
I want to say lewd things to that bikini. If we get them all up, if we all become, hot space bikini boys.
Yeah, okay, yeah. We'll cut together a whole new trailer of the 3 of us in the gold bikinis being sassy and dancing, and people won't even notice the film that we actually made with that.
Well, yeah, the trailer doesn't necessarily have to reflect what's in the film.
No, not at all.
They lie all the time.
Exactly my point. So we get the new trailer in, we just have to get people in there and watching it, and just to stick through the first, the first 2 hours, because I really think the movie picks up around hour 3.
Yes, hour 3 is when we start lighting illegal fireworks, and one of them hits that person's car while a kid's in it, and they're screaming, you endangered my baby, you pieces of shit, and we all get defensive and start getting really quite verbally abusive to the parents.
Well, they deserved it. I mean, it's just right in the middle of our shot, we finally get an effect that's starting to look great, and they're like, "Oh, my baby, my baby."
Absolutely. And if she'd have stopped yelling at us, she'd have got the kid out.
Well, sure she would have, because that car burned for a really long time at a slow pace before it ever got to the gas tank and exploded. That was 90 minutes. She totally could have saved that kid.
Which is the perfect Aesop's fable of the film. Which is, everybody, let's get along. Come on, let's work together.
And is that why the choice was made to use John Williams' Superman theme for that part? The da 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 da. But not actually the theme, I think that was you, Jim.
Oh yeah, I was just going da da, because I couldn't get the rights to it. So I just went da 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 da, and then stopped. I mean, to be honest, it seemed disrespectful to have done it at the time while the car was burning. really loud near the parents.
Well, how else were you going to get the recording done? I mean, you had to drown out their wailing and gnashing.
They were yelling and screaming.
You just can't work with some people.
I tried to give them an egg to make up for it, and they just threw it on the ground. Expensive egg, ostrich. It makes me wonder what kind of children would have raised.
Maybe they did make good villains. If we, next time for the sequel, we push helmets, or maybe not helmets, but just big metal cans, food cans on their heads, and tell them they're Star Troopers or Death Troopers.
Way ahead of you. Yeah. Because I know you fell asleep by this point, because, it was 3 a.m. in the morning at the time. But in that scene, in post, and this is a little bit of editing I actually did superimpose, like some empty tin cans over their faces. Predominantly for legal reasons, but also because, Darth Dad and Darth Mom were the real, highlight of the film. And now people, see them, and they're going to buy the action figures of Darth Dad and Darth Mom. You press a button on their back and they wail in anguish and bereavement. And people will remember, dun, 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 and associated it with them, the Imperial March of these two grieving parents. Okay, we got good news. Good news at last. We have Jason Statham locked in for the next Transporter movie.
Thank God.
Cinched the deal. He's on board with it. It's going to be a consummate professional, as always. Says he's actually quite looking forward to it. The only setback is he doesn't want paying for it. He just wants a favour.
What kind of a favor?
We're going to have to road test the DeLorean for him again.
Again? It's like the fourth one. How many times am I gonna run into a brick wall?
At least he's back on the time travel stuff. Okay? It's better than when it was the flubber.
Okay, wait, yeah. What? Hold on. Jason Statham, famous actor from England, very handsome, karate kicker. He's doing time travel or road testing?
He wants to do time travel.
Let's go. What?
Here's
what
something. I mean, this is good training for you, Paul, because at some point you're probably going to have to help us with Jason. He's a very talented actor, one of our best clients. He was excellent in Crank 5, but he doesn't really consider acting his true calling. He doesn't consider it his vocation. He pays the bills with it.
It's a means to an end. The end being mad science.
Basically. Jason Statham believes himself to be something of a scientific genius and really wants to share his inventions with the world, but we have to kind of help him, kind of patronize him in this way. Like, we help him test his DeLorean, we crash it into a wall, we step out and go, oh, I went back in time and I put a load of poo on Biff Tannen's head, stuff like that. Sometimes it will be flubber, like he'll just get some uncooked dough and just slap it to our feet, and we have to jump up and down saying, I'm really good at basketball now, thanks, Jason.
The janitorial crew was really pissed off about the carpets.
Well, that's it. I mean, that's why I honestly prefer crashing myself bodily into a brick wall in a car to annoying the janitorial staff, which is just awkward. They work hard enough as it is, without us treading dough into the carpets, some of which never comes off.
Is that why someone dropped a phone booth with a human being in it from the roof, and yes. it crushed the man? The man died.
Yeah. That was Jason trying to test out his TARDIS with Ted, who sadly has passed away, and we'll be having the funeral for him a week Wednesday, I think. Once Dr. Night Scream's extracted all the precious metals from his bones.
He's gonna do a new transporter. Good. So, focusing on the positive. He doesn't want it to be a time travel movie, though. He thinks he's an
no.
actual time traveler, is what you're
No,
saying.
yeah, his movie career has nothing to do with his scientific exploits. On set, he's a complete professional. He does the job. He enjoys the work, actually. It's not where his heart is, he tells us. So when he phones us up and says, honey, I shrunk the kids, we don't tell him he hasn't got any kids. We just say, oh, they're probably being chased by a wasp that looks really massive to them. And then he hangs himself from a series of pulleys and suspenders, looking in the grass with big magnifying glasses on, trying to find his kids.
So, not only does he believe in this kind of magical science, but he thinks these movies are real? He doesn't know the difference between fantasy and reality?
Well, no, it's not so much that he can't distinguish between fantasy and reality. He just thinks that these are all his ideas. Like, he can't comprehend fantasy.
Yeah.
Like, there was this time a couple of years ago where he was building this ghost containment unit in his garage, and he just, had no idea that this wasn't an original idea that came forth from his brain.
Yeah. And then he tried to build it. Like, he sees the movies, promptly forgets about them, and then has the idea to make something. That's basically how it works. The 90s for us was terrible because he kept turning up in a helicopter trying to take us to Jurassic Park. And eventually we just had to walk around the zoo looking at gorillas going, oh my god, I can't believe you've got a T-Rex in here. And he's like, oh yes, I've got a cane with a mosquito in amber in it. He didn't, it was just a stick.
Is it true that I'd heard a rumor that he was once quite overweight and then became thin and handsome through some scientific procedure? I thought it was just a rumor. It didn't make any sense.
No. I mean, he said, come have dinner with me and my fat family. They all look like me, but with different wigs on. And it was just a normal family.
Was it his family?
No, he broke into someone's house.
Did they accept?
They were surprisingly cool about it. I mean, I guess I would be too.
They were honoured to have Jason Statham there.
Yeah. So that worked out. We were able to skate on that.
Yeah, that was fine. But some of the other things he's been doing, once he told me he was making a man with blonde hair and a tan who'll be good for relieving his, and then he paused for a really long time and said tension. And he didn't. He just found a guy and just paid him to hang around the house in gold pants.
Maybe this would explain, I was reading the newspaper and I saw Jason Statham pouring water all over a dog and screaming, according to the story, he was screaming, mutate, my little mogwai, mutate.
Oh my god, when was this?
This was, I think it was on Sunday last week.
Oh, he's not on the Gremlins again!
I didn't think so at the time, but from the sounds of it, from what you're saying
Animal
now.
Control is gonna be so pissed.
It takes us months to stop him thinking he's Christopher Lee in Gremlins 2: The New Batch. How did that get in the news without us keeping control of it? That's an ethical breach for which Craig will be punished severely and painfully and erotically.
Well, I mean, if it's already in the news, maybe we can run with it. It is interesting. It's eye-catching. Could help with PR if we spin it in the right way.
The thing is Jason's like one of 10% of the celebrities on our roster who doesn't need a controversy to be famous. Quite the opposite. He's doing okay.
He's doing really well, but the image
if it was
does
Dean
have
Cain
to be
doing
maintained.
this, I mean, I've been trying to get Dean Cain to do all sorts of things with animals, but the newspapers don't pick it up.
Okay, so it's just a local paper, though, right? This is not like national or anything, so maybe we don't have to worry about it.
But if you're saying we need Dean Cain to do things with animals, maybe we can partner them. Maybe we can somehow get a little bit of Statham to rub off on Cain.
Yeah, but the risk there is a little bit of Cain rubbing off on Statham.
Mm.
And I mean literally as well as physically, he's shedding again.
We don't want to kill the golden goose here. Statham is a reliable property. Let's not taint it by putting it in proximity of something clearly poisonous.
Yeah, I mean, he could catch any one of the number of diseases that Dean Cain's body now hosts. To say nothing of the insects.
I apologize. You guys have this idea of Dean Cain that I'm I still think of him as Superman. I still kind of look up to him. I always forget about all the diseases and various pestilences he carries.
Yeah, I mean, he's closer to the super flu than Superman at the moment.
And honestly, Paul, I don't know how many allegations it's going to take to get you to shed that image of a beloved, family-friendly hero. But Dean Cain is not that. He's not. He's a monster.
Just watch him in Man Camp, which I cannot stress enough is a real film.
FistShark Marketing is Jim Sterling, Conrad Zimmerman, and Paul Sincere. Theme music by Ben Rama. Additional music by Alazar Chan. Our editor is Alan Smithy. Get more episodes and learn how to help support the show at FistShark.com. Follow us on Twitter at FistShark for more of our exploits. Complaints can be forwarded via email to fistsharkmarketing@aol.com. And remember, time is not on your side. Goodbye.